Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Raven's Readings. Here are two more of my own stories. I do like writing to a variety of challenges, and I've done over 100 of these stories so far. You can read them via my website at ravensview.ca. I'll be doing these on Fridays and some of the classics on Tuesdays. The first one, the prompt was start your story with the first sentence from page 84 of a book you do not own, like a library book, and include a robbery in your story. It's in the bag. One of them has a revolver in his hand, pointing straight down at the sidewalk. She'd been hurrying home from a seance and had taken a shortcut behind a garage. Bad idea. She'd been halfway down the alley when the kids had stepped in front of her. "What do you want?" she says. There's two of them, standing shoulder to shoulder, trying to look tough, but neither of them looks older than 14. The shorter one, in fact, looks familiar, like one of the kids her son plays basketball with. Danny, she thinks. The other kid, the one with the revolver, points it and waves it at her. "What do I want?" "Lots," he says, "but right now it's about what I'm going to take. Let's start with that purse." She clutches the large bag tightly, feeling it squirm under her arm. She glances behind her. Too far to run for cover. She looks back at the kids and sighs. She has a bad feeling about this. "I've got nothing valuable," she says. "Just let me go ahead, and I promise I won't tell the police. Or your mamas." Danny flushes and tries to look away, but she catches his eye. "You can do better than this," she says. The leader raises the gun and scowls. "Shut up, bitch. I know you. You're the one always talking about spirits and ghosts and that voodoo stuff, scaring my mama and taking her money. Your mama had a bad thinger," she says, "and I chased it away." "Tell me, isn't she happier now?" "Wasn't you," he said. "She's just happier because I made enough money to get her a new coffee maker." "I'm betting you didn't make the money like in a job," she said. "You probably stole it from some other poor neighborhood." He points the revolver at her. "Oh, that's it. I said shut up." "I'll put that away," she says, "before you hurt somebody." "I'll hurt you, bitch," he says, and pulls the trigger. She watches as the bullet spirals toward her and waves it aside with a flick of her hand. "Missed," she says. He fires again and misses again. "Please, just let me go," she says. He grabs Danny by the collar and shoves the gun up to the poor kid's head. "Not gonna miss this target, voodoo lady," he says. "The purse, now." She has no choice. She just hopes it'll be quick this time. She's in no danger herself, but she feels sorry for Danny. He deserves a second chance. She slowly slides the bag from her shoulder, loosens the top slightly, sets it down in front of her. She can see the eyes glowing in the depths of the bag. She backs up. "There, take it." He lets go of Danny and steps forward eagerly. When he bends over to open the bag, she yells, "Run, Danny, run!" She covers her ears against the screams. The end. So be careful when you try to rob the neighborhood witch. For the second story, the prompt was write a story that begins with this sentence. "Call me maybe." "Call me maybe." "Well, it's not that bad, dear," he said. "You're still definitely you. Just some glitches, tiny gaps." He tried to convince her not to be so negative, but in their hearts, they both knew she was right. The technology had still been new a few years ago when they decided to do an imprint. They could only afford one session and knew the risks of waiting. While the stability of the copies was improving monthly, Emmy's health was fading fast too. She might just not wake up one morning. So they'd done the imprint and run a quick online demo session. She was amazed at being able to talk to herself, but after they closed the link, she said she didn't think it was going to work. She'd seen the difference in her online self and the little pauses and gaps already. It didn't feel right to her. She wanted him to start saving and try again in a year. Unfortunately, her medications were so expensive that he couldn't afford both options, and the pills did seem to be helping. She'd stayed relatively clean in all her tests for almost 2 years, until a month ago, and then within a week, she was gone. So he'd gone with that old imprint. At first, he'd brought her online every day and was amazed at how lifelike she was, talking and joking like normal. True, those earlier glitches were still there. The new technology did a great job of interpolating, but could only do so much with the data it had. Her memories did stop with the copy made 2 years ago, but he was okay with that. They've been married 60 years, so this was just a blip. But the grandkids, 6 and 8, didn't understand why she didn't remember anymore. As for his son, he was having trouble adjusting, and it really bothered him to see his mother still there, yet gone. As for their son, he was having trouble adjusting. It really bothered him to see his mother still there, yet gone. They decided to cut back on the visits to just once a week for now, just as well because it seemed every time she came back online there were more little glitches, such as pauses in her speech and a flickering image and some new memory gaps. Every time he brought her back, he was worried as to how stable she would be, how much of his Emmy would be there. Those gaps seemed to be working their way back in time too, like some kind of online Alzheimer's. Sunday nights were grandma night. The family would all come over for a fancy dinner, and then they'd gather in front of the big home entertainment system, and he'd connect online and cross his fingers. Everyone was settled in, grandkids on either side of him, his son cleaning up in the kitchen, but watching through the doorway. His grandson looked up at him. "Will Grandma be okay tonight?" "Maybe," he said. The end. So sad to watch a loved one fade. At what point would you make the choice to just not turn her back on again? What would be your last memory? Stay tuned for more podcasts, either my own stories on Fridays or some of the classics on Tuesdays. And if you subscribe to my newsletter, you'll get the next installment as soon as it's ready. If you enjoyed this reading or have other stories you'd like to hear, leave me a comment, and do check out my other posts on my Substack at ravensview.substack.com. Ta-ta for now.